You're listening to the Multifamily Marketwatch for Washington State. Apartment owners who need to know, trust HFO, the leading source for multifamily industry news around the state, from Puget Sound to the Tri-Cities.
Welcome back to Washington Multifamily Marketwatch. I'm your host, Aaron Kirk Douglas. The top news this week: Apartment List, Yardi Matrix, and Multi-Housing News are out with the latest national forecasts. Washington Governor Jay Inslee cites housing bill and funding successes in the 2023 legislative session. And we have a rundown of the latest multifamily transactions in the Puget Sound region. All that and more in just a moment. This Washington Multifamily Market Watch is co-sponsored by Gantry Inc., the nation's largest independent mortgage broker, and by J.R. Johnson, experts in multifamily restoration and repair work. Now on to our news briefing. First, in national apartment news, Apartment List released its monthly rent report, indicating the U.S. rent index increased by 0.5% during April, the third straight month of increases. The April increase was less than a typical April price change from pre-pandemic years. Apartment List data indicates that sluggish demand and increasing supply keep rent growth in check. The company says rent growth is decelerating year over year and currently stands at 1.7%, the lowest level in 2 years. Although rents in Tacoma are down 2.5% year over year, they are up nearly 17% since March of 2020. Meanwhile, Yardi Matrix has released its April 2023 report, and its data indicates the multifamily market continues to show resilience in the face of headwinds as rents increased for the second straight month in April. Yardi Matrix forecasts modest rent increases as occupancy rates decline. Nationally, occupancy rates settled at 95% in March as demand held up against fears of recession. Year-over-year rent growth for all asset classes currently stands near zero in Seattle and 3.3% in Portland. Renters by necessity have seen rents climb by roughly 4% in Seattle and 4.8% in Portland. The Yardi Matrix data indicates that rent-to-income ratios for renters by necessity are about 30% in Seattle and 36% in Portland. In comparison, lifestyle renters by choice have rent-to-income ratios of 26.5% in Seattle and 27.4% in Portland. Yardi forecasts 2023 rent growth in Seattle at 2.8% and Portland at 3%. Also this month, Multi-Housing News issued a special report on the national apartment shortfall and the disconnect between supply and demand. Today, there is a widening supply gap, and 4.3 million new units will be needed by 2035. The industry is currently 600,000 units behind. Seattle is noted as among the top 10 metros needing the most new units, with nearly 95,000 more apartments required by 2035. Washington State Legislature has wrapped up with the governor's bill signing, and the governor released a statement this past week summarizing the accomplishments of the legislature. The governor commented on the surge in housing costs across cities in Washington State, driven by 1 million new residents and a scarcity of homes. In calling upon the legislature to go big, Inslee touted his signing of multiple new bills and the allocation of over $1 billion towards affordable housing and homeless solutions. With a 30% population increase since the year 2000 and limited housing supply, Seattle has seen its median home price inch towards $1 million. To tackle this, new legislation permits the construction of up to 4 housing units on single-family zoned lots in select cities. Additional laws promote the construction of accessory dwelling units, fostering increasing housing density while preserving neighborhood character. Tenant rights have also been addressed with some laws enacted to enhance the eviction procedures, allowing more time for rental payments, using emergency assistance funds, and preventing landlords from unfairly withholding damage deposits or charging for routine maintenance. Historical housing discrimination has been confronted, according to the governor, through legislation establishing a covenant homeownership account to assist marginalized aspiring homebuyers. The aim is to rectify the disparities in homeownership between racial groups. And to streamline housing construction, regulations have been reduced. In addition, clear and objective design review standards have been implemented, expediting the process and consolidating local permit reviews to ensure efficient construction timelines. The legislature's response includes substantial investments in rental assistance, homeownership programs, and initiatives to combat homelessness. These efforts are expected to alleviate the housing burden on Washington families and enhance housing security throughout the state. In Seattle and other Puget Sound news, Connect Commercial Real Estate reports Seattle has seen a bifurcation of financial performance between the urban core and the suburbs, as well as Class A, B, and C properties. Connect CRE indicates that Seattle's Class A rents have increased by 5.8% over pre-COVID levels. Class B rents have increased by 9.4%, and Class C rents have increased by 18.4%. Seattle's multifamily housing stock is expected to grow by more than 4% this year, with 1/3 of the 15,000 new units projected to be delivered as Class A units in downtown and Capitol Hill. Reports indicate Class A rents in Seattle will grow by about 2.7% this year, while rents overall are expected to climb by 4.2%. In transaction activity around the Puget Sound area, the 80 Main apartment building on Seattle's waterfront has traded at a loss for the second time since it opened about 8 years ago. Since its original sale in 2016, the value of 80 Main has fallen by nearly 25%. The property was initially built to capitalize on the city's new 20-acre waterfront park, which is finally nearing completion after 14 years of planning and building. A 25-story student housing tower with 221 units and no parking is planned for the University District. The project will be built at 1205 Northeast 50th Street, where Walgreens once operated. The property is 1 block west of CA Ventures of Chicago's recently completed apartment project with a Safeway. This new CA Ventures project includes some public open space. It is designed with tactile materials and livable terraces with open spaces at the tower setbacks. The 38-unit Heritage Green Apartments in Redmond sold for $15.2 million in an off-market transaction earlier this month. The property was last sold for $3 million in 1996. The transaction is one of only 15 transactions over $1 million in the Puget Sound region in the first quarter of 2023. That's down from a 5-year average transaction of 57. The Puget Sound Business Journal reports the 75-unit Roosevelt Ridge Apartments in Seattle's Pinehurst neighborhood sold for $13.5 million. The 6-building complex was built in 1989 and totals 45,000 square feet. The sale price represents an average of $175,000 per unit, or $292 per square foot. The purchaser was Thayer Manka Residential, which owns 15 multifamily assets in Washington, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, and Oregon. And finally, Tacoma's new Caesars luxury apartments has traded for $35.4 million. CoStar reports that Barcelo Homes, which finished construction this year on the 7-story, 131-unit downtown Tacoma property, was purchased by an affiliate of locally based Dobler Property Management for just under $270,000 per unit. According to its company website, Dobler manages 5,600 units in Puget Sound and its multifamily portfolio exceeds $460 million. Stay up to date with the latest from the Washington State multifamily industry by following our blog, our LinkedIn profile, and subscribing to the Multifamily Marketwatch podcast. We'll see you again next week.
Our entire office specializes in multifamily real estate, making HFO the largest multifamily brokerage in the Pacific Northwest. Your success is our passion. Build your legacy with HFO. Call 503-241-5541 or visit our website at hfore.com for more information. HFO is an affiliate of the Global Real Estate Advisor Network.